we have Lieutenant-Colonel Deena, Govender of the KZN Hawks, to take the stand at 2:20 when the commission resumes. You may remember this name from the case of Bevan Loftus. We heard about this issue of how there's a risk of those tow tracking and alleged drug gangs, and how they've allegedly infiltrated the KZN SAPS, or at least some of those task teams that are operating within the KZN province, specifically that under the command of Lieutenant-Colonel Deena, Govender, which is the cash in transit task team. A number of allegations were made against him with respect to the death of Bevan Loftus, and in the main what is being alleged is that it was an alleged hit commissioned where he was allegedly paid, I think it was 2.5 million that was made through that earlier testimony by one of the alleged rival gang leaders who was named as Clive Nika in that previous testimony. We'll hear about Lieutenant-Colonel Deena, Govender, about that specific allegation, and then also what played out in that apartment in Morningside, where it is alleged that there was a shootout in self-defense, but you have evidence that is countering that particular issue, and alleging that the police went there allegedly with the intention to kill Bevan Loftus. We'll hear from Lieutenant-Colonel Deena, Govender, who is the command of that particular team that would have responded to that incident involving Bevan Loftus, and of course that resulted in Bevan Loftus and 4 others dying in that apartment at the hands of police. And the claim at the time, or the defense, was that this was a shootout in self-defense. We'll see whether or not his explanation with respect to this actually holds up before the commission, or is there a legitimate concern with respect to the realm of alleged extrajudicial killings in the KZN province, and does that incident of Bevan Loftus fit the profile and the characteristics of this particular phenomenon in the KZN province. Now, moving back to Fardiel Adams, we had some very important concessions that were made in today's session about his alleged role in Project Diversion, which is the crime intelligence matters, or at least IDAC's interest into crime intelligence matters. We've already seen that today the Mukwele matter, which is actually born out of that Section 27 referral affidavit made by Fardiel Adams, has been unconditionally withdrawn before the criminal justice system. But there's still several questions that the commission had for Fardiel Adams with respect to his role, and I think he at least concedes that he may have allegedly been used in this particular process, and that he was willing to assist IDAC at all costs in order for them to ensure that they're successful on these particular matters. So he's clearly seen that he's caught up in a storm, and when he was confronted with certain evidence relating to this particular investigation, it became clear to him that this had little to do, allegedly, with the pursuit of justice, and seemingly he was part of a bigger storm that was playing out in terms of the internal or alleged internal SAPS factional battles. And that comes up because of these Section 27 referral affidavits that come up before the probe. We do now know that there are 2. That is the one that Drew Ramsamy and Mr. Rapesu said that they saw from Advocate Johnson. That is the one that she was carrying around. And then there's the one that was beamed before the Madlanga Commission, and that is one that had little to do with the forklift issue as well as the political killings task team, which Fardiel Adams actually admits that his particular complaint was centered around those particular issues. Now, the commission has to get to the bottom of why there's only 2 statements, and he states under oath that he only gave 1 statement to IDAC in terms of these investigations. It becomes clear what the turn of events was with respect to Fardiel Adams and his alleged role. The reason why you see that second Section 27 referral affidavit that bears his signatures on all pages and at the end is because you could get that answer into the issue surrounding Dylan Paramore and the additional set of A1 statements that were taken. If you go back to the evidence, Jushanta Ramsamy and Mr. Rapesu were adamant that when they did that consultation on the 6th of January in Cape Town, that it was impossible for Dylan Paramore, the now suspended chief IDAC investigator, to have gotten an additional statement from Fardiel Adams. And they were correct when they said that, because it comes out that indeed Dylan Paramore did get the statement, but he didn't do so on the 6th of December. It seems that the ones that they commissioned on the 6th of December. Allegedly, former IDAC head Advocate Andrea Johnson was not happy with those particular statements, and of course Dylan Perumal then went in the middle of the night to go get additional statements on a different date for Fardiel Adams to sign off on, and then of course those were broken down into 4 different statements, which explains why there are all these different A1 statements that are backdated to the 6th of December. Now, Fardiel Adams doesn't know about how it got that specific date, but he does confirm that he did sign off on additional statements that he said Dylan Perumal told him that allegedly Johnson wanted more meat and she wanted better statements in that regard with respect to the 4 that he signed and were added on. So it does seem or does still speak to the theme of an alleged manufactured or tailored statement in order to meet a specific conclusion. And once he's confronted with this particular evidence, Fardiel Adams then comes to the realization that he may have been used in this bigger ordeal where it is seemingly pointing to an alleged orchestrated attack on certain high-ranking generals, and that they just needed someone to open those cases so that it would pave the way for IDAC to investigate these matters into crime intelligence. So very important concessions being made, very important advancements being made in terms of the crime intelligence matters, because it becomes clear that Jushanta Ramsamy, apologies, and Mr. Rapesu were correct when they concluded that on the 6th of December in Cape Town, it would have been impossible for the now suspended chief IDAC investigator, Dylan Perumal, to have commissioned those statements. And that those statements have now, under oath, been confirmed by Fardiel Adams to have been done at a different date. And clearly, the 6th of December is there because it was backdated to suit that particular fact. And with that important advancement, we do see that this narrative about IDAC and its interest into crime intelligence matters becomes more serious before the probe, as it seems that these cases may have been allegedly manufactured.